and Photonics Society of Singapore, what it does in Singapore. We have what is called as the Lux Photonics Consortium. We'll just mention a bit about the education in optics in Singapore, and a couple of slides on a couple of companies in Singapore. So this is what this talk will be about. As you can see, the picture we have is with some of our students, and this is the so-called giant tree. So Singapore, as many of you might have come here already, is basically a city of gardens and lights, right? So you have a lot of light all over Singapore. Okay, so the Optics and Photonics Society was basically started as a chapter of SPIE way back in 1994. So we are more than 25 years old now. And we converted to the society OPSS in 2008. I was the founding chair, and current chair is Professor Chen Ki Mao, also from NTU. Our basic mission is to promote optics and photonics in Singapore and interact between industry, academia, and research institutes. This is our website at opssg.org. We have expanded a bit. As I said, we started in 2008. So currently we have an office in China, is OPSS China. We also have an office in India. So we have OPSS in India. In addition, in the region, we have started what is called as the Asean Commission of Optics and Photonics, where we have societies in the Asean region. So currently we have 6 of them. And we basically try to have collaborations between our regional societies. And then for the Asian region, we have signed MOUs with the Optical Society of Japan, the Taiwan Photonics Society, the Chinese Society of Optical Engineering, and Optical Society of Korea. So we are hoping that just like we have the European Optical Society, and in the US, there's Optical Society of America and SPIE, we should have something like optics in Asia. So Optical Society of Asia or something of that name. So this is my hope. Hopefully the next generation will push this through. As far as the OPSS is concerned, as I said, we are interacting between companies, individuals, and students. Companies basically are looking for talent, new talent in the area of optics and photonics. And we have a large number of students in the universities and other areas who are looking for jobs, so we can interact with them. At the same time, we are looking at students to interact or network with individuals, so they get to understand how is the research environment or how is the industrial environment. And for the corporate and individuals who are working, OPSS offers courses and workshops and training so that they can improve on their capabilities in Singapore. As I said, we had started OPSS China in 2015, and we have an annual conference every year, every other year. So every other year we have a conference in China, the IC Open Conference. I'll mention that a bit later. And in 2018, we had OPSS in India. And India, we have a lot of students, just like in China. So we had a student conference during that inauguration. As far as ASEAN is concerned, we have initiated the ASEAN Commission on Optics and Photonics. It's still a virtual organization, but we have, as I said, societies in different countries. So we have the Optical Society of Malaysia, the Thailand Optics and Photonics Society. This is the Philippines Physics Society, which have optics in it. Then we have the Indonesian Optical Society and the Optics and Photonics Society of Myanmar, which is our youngest one, and the Vietnam Photonics Society. So we are trying to basically interact with them and basically help them so become a regional group of optics and photonics. So in this regard, I basically encourage all of you to also see how we can support this growing region, which is developing very fast, and get them into optics and photonics. As far as the Asian societies are concerned, as we said, we are trying to coordinate events in the region and plan meetings, workshops for benefit of all members. And as I mentioned earlier, Asia is the up and coming force in the world. And so it will be a major force in optics and photonics. And so we hope that it can basically push, the optical societies can work together and push this forward. So currently we have MOUs, and I think most of these societies also have MOUs with other similar MOUs with regional societies. And so it would be a good opportunity for us to put everything together and become a major force in optics and photonics. As far as conference is concerned, OPSS basically supports regional conferences, but we drive essentially two conferences. One is the Asian Conference on Experimental Mechanics, which is held every year in a different country in Asia. And so it's something which we try to encourage experimental mechanics, because a lot of optics now being used in experimental methods. So you need to measure something before you can make it properly. The other conference, which is started by OPSS, is the IC Open. The IC Open series is held every year, once in Singapore and once in China. But as I mentioned, since we started the ASEAN Commission, the 2019 IC Open was held in the beautiful island of Phuket in Thailand. So we had a lot of interesting people there, and it was a wonderful opportunity for all. As you said, we also do workshops and short courses. This year has been a bit difficult to organize these things, but we have the ability to invite people from overseas to come and give conferences. We have local speakers. We do online courses. We do virtual. We do basically hands-on courses where these students or the trainees basically get hands-on experience with optics, just in not only lectures. So we not only provide lectures, but we actually take them to the lab or take them to the workshop and actually show them optics and photonics in action. We do participate in exhibitions. We have the MTA, the Manufacturing Technology Exhibition in Singapore, which was held every 2 years. And our IC Open conference was aligned with that one. We go to the CIOE conference in Shenzhen again this year. While we were not there in person, we were there virtually, just as we are here for the laser manufacturing event, which is going on now. And we also had participated in the Optics Valley exhibition in Wuhan. So we are keen to work with exhibitions. We are hoping that we could start some exhibition in Singapore, but Singapore being a small country and most of our companies are essentially overseas companies, so it's sometimes difficult to have a large-scale optics exhibition. But we can do that with, for example, Malaysia or Indonesia, which are much better locations to organize big events. As far as upcoming events are concerned, as we said, in 2020, our IC Open, which was to be held in China, was canceled because of COVID. We also were having actually a joint event between IC Open and ASEM, as I mentioned, for the first time. But we are hoping that next year would be better. So IC Open 2021, we are planning in Singapore sometime in the later half of 2021. So hopefully things would become better and we can meet each other face to face rather than virtually. Again, as far as exhibitions are concerned, most of them this year have been virtual. We are still trying to see how it will go on for next year. We move on to photonics education. We do not have a specific degree course in photonics and optics in Singapore, but many of the universities, all the universities in Singapore do offer courses. There is no special program in optics or photonics. So there is no degree you would get in optics and photonics. But each of these universities have courses in optics and photonics. We have the so-called Photonics Institute in NTU, which is a group of research centers in NTU, and they are basically joined up together under this Photonics Institute. So we have schools in the electrical and electronic engineering, the school in physics, and of course the school in mechanical and aerospace engineering. So these are the different schools, and as we said, we can therefore see the diversity of applications of optics and photonics. The Photonics Institute generally, as we said, is a research-based institute, but each of the schools basically gives courses in optics and photonics. So you can visit their website if you would to know more. Then, as we said, for teaching of optics, the OPSS actually came up with an optics kit. And we have basically developed optics kit not based on traditional optics principles, but more on optical techniques, which we can therefore show the applications. So basically, we have a optobot, which is an optical robot, and that helps us to develop this. We do opto VR, so person can encourage with VR and see how VR works and so on. So it basically allows you to, the student could be in any different discipline. It does not have to be in electrical or mechanical or physics. He can be in any discipline where, because optics and photonics now goes beyond all disciplines. So applications of optics and photonics, and therefore new ideas coming in from different people. Okay, so that's one of the robots. Yeah. And then we basically have the VR part of it as well. So this basically allows the student to play with different things, and it can be in, as I said, different areas as well. So we provide you the basic tools, and then we just let the students apply it to the different applications. We also have a Lux Photonics Consortium, which is basically an interaction between university research centers and industry. So basically, it's started by the NTU and NUS universities, and it's supported by the National Research Foundation. So we try to basically help industry to tap on the research which is developed at the university. So the Lux Photonics Consortium basically allows industry to look at what is available, what are the patents in universities, and then try to see whether they can take it up and develop it into a product and so on. So it's basically interaction between university and industry. A couple of companies, just to finish up with the whole thing. We have this company called Wavelength Optoelectronics, who basically look at optics, optical design and manufacturing. And they are very strong in laser and infrared and plastic optics. They have various capabilities. They also have, as we said, offices in in China and other places. Basically looking at infrared optics, different types of materials, the glass materials processing, and making coatings and so on. So they develop basically optical components. Then my company is Optron Private Limited. We are basically we are spin-off from my research center in NTU, and basically developing smart digital 3D vision technologies. So we have basically 3D vision, which can go through different scales. So we can measure very large objects to very small objects, and we can have different surfaces. So we can do diffuse objects, reflecting objects, transparent objects, and the whole gamut of it. So we can basically, in addition to 3D, as we said, we are more known as 4D because we can measure changes in 3D with time. So they say basically looking at the applications in changes of 3D with time, right? So we have applications in bioimaging, in mechanical measurements, in microstructures, and other areas. Right, so I end there. We would like you to welcome all of you to come to Singapore, IC Open 2021. And if you want to connect with Singapore or the region, you can contact us at OPSS. So we will try to help you, whether you are a student or a researcher, or if you are a company who wants to help find some support out in Singapore or the region, you are more than welcome to reach out to us. Okay, thank you very much.
We are deeply grateful to Professor Anand Asundi for the introduction of the optical and the photonics education and technologies in Singapore. Because of the time, we canceled the free questioning unit. And we thanks again to Professor Asundi. Thank you.
Thank you.